Welcome to the Straight Shootin View.
Hey, what's up, people? My name is Straight Shootin LJA, and with the blue skies behind me, welcome to another episode of the Straight Shootin View. Now, a couple of things I want to talk about that are going to be significant to this upcoming season. The IFAB changing the handball rule and UEFA scrapping the away goals rule. Now, for me, these two are very interesting because they actually could critically affect the game. The handball rule has been muddy waters for a long time, and especially in the last couple of years with the changes that the IFAB have made, and then the Premier League have messed up. I will say that instead of saying effed up. But I think it's one of them where the handball rule needs to, for me, be completely simplified. If it hits your hand, if it's inside the penalty area, it's a penalty, straight up. It's one of them. Or if it's the attacking team, free kick. Because we've got VAR, you can pull stuff back, and VAR, when it's used properly, because VAR in and of itself is doing a great job, because all it's therefore is to show what happened, not make the decisions for a referee. But it's one of them where I just see it as, with the handball rule now being changed recently by the IFAB in terms of, all right, if it's accidental, then it's not a penalty. And it's like, well, I said you just got to boil these things down and simplify them, to be perfectly honest, because the more you start putting in little stipulations here and there, and this is how we've gotten to this situation in the first place, the more you start putting little tiny stipulations into rules and regulations, that's where you start getting the problems. But at the same time, you can't be massive broad brushstrokes and vague, but with some things you have to be. I mean, handball should be handball. If it strikes the hand, just give it as a penalty. I mean, it might be one of them ones where it's like, oh, the guy can't get out of the way, whatever, but if you just do a one-size-fits-all rule, then you can't really have any arguments about it. It's just one of them ones. If it strikes the hand, it's getting given. Because the more you have stuff open to interpretation, it's like, oh, was it in an unnatural position? But that can be interpreted differently by different people. Oh, did the person gain an advantage with that? Well, they might not have intended to gain an advantage. It might have hit their hand and they were quick enough to seize an advantage with it. So it's like, again, there's so much that's open to interpretation. So you look at, say, Thierry Henry's handball against Ireland in that qualifier years ago. It's one of them where it's like, well, he did gain an advantage from it. Was it deliberate? It looked it, but some people might interpret it as, well, Henry's that good, where even if it was accidental, he was lightning quick enough to take advantage of it. So he got an unintentional advantage. Some would argue it was an intentional one. So the more you have open to interpretation, the more dangerous it is. Now, speaking of something else that's open to interpretation is the away goals rule. Some people think it's a good thing, and I'm one of them where I think it's a good thing. I always have thought it's a good thing, because I'm one of them ones where it's like, all right, in the away leg, it makes you come out more. Yes, you can sit back when you're at home, but at the end of the day, I think, I mean, it's been around for a long time as well, that away goals rule, and I don't think it needed to change. And they're saying, oh, it's going to make teams come out in both matches. Well, not necessarily. I would say not necessarily, because you look at it, if a team's get, like, let's say for instance, Sparta Prague against Real Madrid. Sparta Prague, no matter what, at the Bernabeu, are not going to come out and go toe-to-toe with Real Madrid. It's just not going to happen, because they know they're overmatched and they're just going to get overpowered and overrun. They know that. So the away goals rule changing is not going to change that. It's not going to make it more, oh, it's a level playing field and all this. No, it's actually not going to do that. For me, I look at it as the away goals rule didn't need to change. And I love the away goals rule. because I think that draws teams out. So you look at, say, Liverpool-Barcelona from our 2019 winning season. We conceded 3 at the Nou Camp, didn't score 1. But it was one of them ones where we went and scored 4 at home. And we always knew, and where the intrigue and where the tension and where the excitement was for obviously the neutrals, seeing all these goals going in, is if we conceded 1, we would have needed to score 5 on the night against Barcelona, which sounds impossible. So the away goals rule very much created that intrigue where it's kind of like, all right, if they need to score this, they need to score that. It's like, oh, if we score one goal, they need to score 2. So I think that tended to draw a lot of teams out. Now, getting rid of that, I think basically tips the scales once again, not that they need to, in favor of the bigger sides, because the bigger sides obviously can always at home overpower a smaller side generally, and then just rely on the away leg. They could rest players, sit back, knowing that if they score, it kind of is what it is. But with the away goals rule going, I mean in that respect, there is kind of, well, maybe, teams are going to start resting players for like second legs because they know the away goals rule doesn't matter as much. But for me, I don't know. I just see it as if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't think there was any need to get rid of it. The handball rule, as said, it needs to be simplified, but the away goals rule didn't need any changing. It didn't need any tweaking. So I don't know, man. I just feel a little uneasy with the away goals rule disappearing. And I said, I think it favours the bigger sides, and I say that supporting Liverpool. So yeah, if anyone wants to point out the irony, go ahead, go right ahead. But I don't know, man. I think the away goals rule used to give smaller sides a chance because, let's say again, using a team like Sparta Prague or Spartak Moscow, these small, or let's say FC Midtjylland, where if they held you at their place and it was a 1-1 draw, it'd be one of them ones where they'd go away from home and they'd be like, you know what, we've got a major chance here. We could potentially like upset the odds, because the away goals rule, if they say knock in one off a fortunate set piece or a corner goes straight in or something like that, it's one of them ones they've now got every chance in the world to go out and win it. So yeah, I said I'm not a fan of the away goals rule disappearing, to be honest. But you know what? The comment section is below. I want to know your views. The IFAB changing the handball rule, is that a good thing? And UEFA scrapping the away goals rule, is that a good thing? Does it give more of an advantage to bigger sides, or does it actually somewhat level out the playing field? Let me know your views. Remember, www.pitch-talk.com is the official website. You can catch our podcast. You can catch blogs there from the G-Man. You can also find out more information about us co-hosts, myself, the G-Man, JBK, and also Nathan Arsenal as well. You can pick up the RSS feed for our podcast and listen on the website as well. Our podcasts are on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Verbal. We're Verbal ambassadors and proud to be. But also we're on Podbean, Podomatic, Amazon Music, and many, many other sources, including Player FM. Import our RSS feed there. Also, twitter.com/PitchTalk or @PitchTalk on Twitter. Tweet with us, follow us, see what we are up to. Facebook.com/PitchTalk as well. Become a fan, become a friend, become a member of the group. Join the footballing revolution we are working so hard to create. Also, we're on Instagram, @PitchTalk on Instagram, for previews to our vlogs, including Coaching with JBK, the Straight Shootin View, and 5 Minutes with the G. Also, youtube.com/PitchTalk is where you can find all of our videos, including Pitch Talk at the 2020-2021 SAL Cup final, as well as special feature segments too. You know what? I have been Straight Shootin LJA, and until next time, This has been the Straight Shootin View. Thanks for your time, peeps.
Join the Pitch Talk revolution.
Check out the official Pitch Talk website.
www.pitch-talk.com